Hey everybody, welcome to another Great Lakes Divide live stream on YouTube. I'm your host, Adam Biggers. You can follow me on Twitter at AdamBiggers81, and you can follow Great Lakes Divide on Twitter at GLDivide. You can follow us on Facebook as well at Great Lakes Divide. And follow my partner, Ryan Schuling. He covers Michigan State at Ryan Schuling, and that's SCHUIL1LING. And I want to give a shout out to our title sponsor, FederalWilliams.com. For all of your real estate needs in the state of Michigan, contact Mike Williams with FederalWilliams.com. That's FEDERAU Williams.com. Whether you're in the Lansing area, Flint area where I am, Ann Arbor, Saginaw, Traverse City, Benton Harbor, it doesn't matter. Give Mike a call. Again, that's FederalWilliams.com. So, want to talk about, we'll get into our Northwestern preview. And no, I did not wear a purple hat on purpose for Northwestern. I chose it because I'm in a Facebook group. I've been kind of getting into those lately. My buddy Eric Rogers, it's a new era, like a hat fanatic group. And as you guys could tell, I kind of like hats a little bit. So I'll post it in the group. My hat of the day is this Colorado Rockies throwback. I got it to go with these pair of sixes, these Jordan 6s that I have. And I've worn this hat like 3 times, so we'll make it 4 now. So before I get in the live chat, and guys, now the channel is monetized. We'll still do a subscription thing if you guys want to. There's a super chat feature that you can that I just enabled. I don't know what it does. Something about highlighting a comment. You could pay and get your comment highlighted or something like that. So Leo Dice A says the man himself. Jay Van Syak says, "What's up, Adam? Balance 440. Hey, Adam. Kurt Kramer. Hey, Adam. Hey, guys. How's it going? Thanks for joining. Give me 1 second. I'll go over topics again real quick. We'll talk about Northwestern preview. We'll get into that. We'll get into your score predictions. Also, in this Michigan Facebook fan group, I saw a comment posted about who should get carries, and I kind of want to debate that. And we'll go over some stats from Wes Weber Jr. at Wesley Weber, and that's Weber with 1B Jr. on Twitter. Wes has been hooking me up all week. Gave me that fire Ben Mason, in the literal term, the fire graphics with Ben Mason and the I'm not afraid of anything meme. So check Wes's work out. He is the official, unofficial statistician, meme, graphic guy for the Great Lakes Divide podcast. So guys, give me 1 second real quick. I'm going to tweet out the links and put it on Facebook, and we'll get into the discussion. So real quick vote for those who are in here right now. What do we start with? Score prediction, Northwestern preview. Guys, give me an idea what you guys want to start out with. And then we'll go from there. But I have in mind 3 topics that I want to talk about. So 3 or 4 topics. And I mean, yeah, but we look at Northwestern. What are they going to do without Jeremy Larkin? I mean, that's a huge blow. We've been talking about that all week. What are they going to do? Let me see if I can get that Barkley jersey in there. I love that thing. It's one of my favorites. It actually belonged to a friend of mine, younger, late brother, Richard. So it's kind of I was good friends with Richard growing up. So it was kind of cool to have something of his. So Charles Barkley, it's the real deal champion. It's not the ironed on from the 90s. I have a couple of those, but that's the stitched on Phoenix Suns Charles Barkley, one of the great jerseys of the 90s. So I tweeted out this stuff, I believe, one more time here. There's so many Facebook pages and Twitter pages. I've been saying this for all week. Like, I wish there was one button I could just preload and it would just tweet them all out. All right, we're on there. We're rolling. So let me get back in here. Jay Van, it says Van Syke. You're not the first. I tried, Jay. I'm sorry. I've been saying Jay Van Syak like a total moron. My bad. Jay Van Syke. We got Ben Peterson. Hey, Ben, how you doing? MIC Book says he wants to go with the preview first. Drew 48 says, Adam, you should get a whiteboard for the topics you want to cover each day and new people join that so we know what we're talking about. I can't read this morning. Drew, yeah, I've been wanting to do that, man. We will do that. I'll have the whiteboard. I'll try to go when I'm out and around at some point today or maybe early next week. Go out and just get a whiteboard and we can have it. My only thing was like, well, if I have the whiteboard, then it covers up everything, right? So I don't know. Maybe I could just have the whiteboard, prop it up, attach it to the chair so it's like on the side. I don't know. We'll figure out something. It's a good idea, though. Simple Carl says, who do you have, Penn State or Ohio State? Ohio State. MIC Book says, authentic. I see you, A. Jay Van Syke says, and my neighbors would decide to do some home improvement work. This is why we're live. This is why it's fun. One moment while I shut this door. All right, now we're back. Sorry about that. Jay Van Syke says, more talked about in his interview this week, Gentry being used in additional ways. You like me, I'm thinking there will be a gadget play later on down the line. He'll be throwing passes. That's actually interesting that you brought that up because when we talked to Zach Gentry, and guys, I had the video on my YouTube channel, someone brought that up. I mean, Zach was a former quarterback, right? He was recruited. He was a 4-star quarterback. He was the #1 recruit in New Mexico. He was among the best pro-style quarterbacks. You know, we know the story. Michigan converted him to a tight end. But, yeah, Zach can still throw the ball. I mean, when he was in his peak condition, he could throw 70 yards. He was joking around saying that he'd probably tear his labrum right now if he tried to throw like that. But Zach still has it. I talked to his old coach at El Dorado, New Mexico, earlier this year, Charlie Dotson, and he said that Zach would still come out. He said he could tell that Zach's not a quarterback anymore, but he said Zach can still throw the ball really well. So yeah, I wouldn't rule that out. And Zach kind of laughed it off too. So he said that they've been talking about it. So we'll see. Check out that interview. It's on my YouTube page. I just wrote about Aiden Hutchinson, guys. Check this out. Aiden's going to be a star. I mean, I think we all know that. Here's a link. Wrote about Dylan McCaffrey. This is Aiden Hutchinson. I kind of tie it into that 16-18 class angle as well. Rather than writing two pieces and being repetitive, I just kind of went a little bit in depth. But it does focus on Aiden because Aiden seems like he's the guy out of this class, right? I mean, we saw in 2016 Rashawn Gary was the guy out of that class. And that 16 class, a lot of them now are stars. I mean, we can go down the line. And if they're not a star, they're a key contributor. I mean, Devin Gill, Josh Uche, Josh Metellus is on the rise. I mean, we're seeing Devin Bush, obviously. I mean, there are a lot of guys. I mean, even Kakoa Crawford and Eddie McDoom, before they transferred, they got decent time as freshmen. So a lot of those guys out of the 16 class are now, but I mean, we're looking at two of the best players in college football out of that 16 class, and Rashawn Gary and Devin Bush, easily. Tim Beck says, is this podcast going to be terrible? See what I did there? I don't know. What do you mean? Is it going to be terrible? I hope not. Probably. I mean, for as long as I'm talking, it'll be terrible. But for as long as you guys come up with good questions, then it'll be good. Walter Mitchell says, I think we are going to see more like Nebraska. If Michigan can pound the ball, Northwestern losing the starting running back is going to be hard for Northwestern to deal with. Yeah, guys, let's go. Let's start that right now with Jeremy Larkin. And if you look at Jeremy Larkin, it's not. When you say a guy's a big piece of an offense, there's certain, I mean, look at Michigan, for example. We can name a few big pieces of the offense, right? At Northwestern, there was one big piece of the offense, and that was Jeremy Larkin. Jeremy Larkin had 72 of the team's total 110 carries. He had 346 of the team's total 351 yards, and that's factoring rushing yards. That's factoring 31 sack yards on Clayton Thorson. But we're looking at a guy who had everything rushing wise. He had 5 of 7 rushing TDs, and then as a receiver, he had the second most catches on the team behind Flynn Nagel, who leads the team with 20 and 226 yards, 226 receiving yards. Jeremy Larkin had 19 catches for 127 yards. I mean, Northwestern isn't just losing a key player; it's losing it's the player on offense. And I can't help but think, I mean, earlier this year, you know, we went through the season predictions. I went through my season predictions. I have Michigan winning this game in my season predictions, but I can't help but now, given what's changed, and I made a note in here, you know, if there's an injury or, you know, some unforeseen thing like that, reserve the right to change. I reserve the right to change now. I mean, initially I thought this was going to be a tough road game for Michigan, 28-17. So let's dovetail that into the predictions. I mean, we could talk more about Northwestern, but honestly, the loss of Jeremy Larkin is that. I mean, they averaged 24 points per game. You got Jeremy Larkin, who had five rushing touchdowns in what, 3 games? You're hurting. You're hurting without Jeremy Larkin, and there's no ifs, ands, or buts about that. And yeah, there's more in 5 rushing touchdowns in 3 games. I mean, there's more than just Jeremy Larkin on this team. But when you look at the offensive number, and then you look at what Michigan's doing defensively too, and I'll get into some stats from Wes Weber Jr. again. And thanks, Wes, if you're watching. There he is. Those stats are awesome. So we'll get into those stats. And Wes, feel free, if you guys could drop the links in there. Wes, feel free. I wish there was a way that we could drop photos and stuff like that. So if I missed your comment, guys, I'm sorry. A lot of people are in here now. Brian Phelps says, "Hey Walter, good to see you here from the MFRHQ on Facebook." Hey, guys, we could get in this Facebook thing. I saw on a Facebook fan page, Michigan fan group page, about why give the ball to Ben Mason? Why not give the ball to Karan Higdon and help boost his Heisman number? I mean, the logic behind that to me is purely ridiculous. And I mean, Karan Higdon's a great running back. I'm not taking anything away from Karan. Karan's going to get his. But why do you got to take away from Ben Mason so Karan can get his? Ben Mason was built for those situations. If you're not using Ben Mason, you are improperly utilizing your roster. And I'm not going to say, you know, I'm not a football coach. I'm not Jim Harbaugh. I'm not, you know, running backs coach, anything like that. But logic to me says when you're like a body length away, it's the Khalid Hill rule, right? You have a guy in the back, inertia. Jim Harbaugh described the term when asked about Ben Mason's performance and momentum, all that. He said inertia. That's what you need in those situations. I mean, Karan Higdon's going to bust you 30, 40 yards and get you into that position. And yeah, does he deserve, you know, to be rewarded and get a chance at a touchdown? Sure he does. But I mean, if you're in a specific situation where that's what Ben Mason does. That's part of his game. That's like the major part of his game. He can catch out of the backfield. He can block. You know, he could do other things. But giving Ben Mason the ball in a goal line situation makes perfect sense to me, and I don't really see an argument against that. I mean, and I don't see it. They were 3 for 3 with him. It's not like they tried and failed. It was a gimme. And I'm not a gimme, not like Ben didn't work for it, but you know what I mean. It's there, boom, take it. So that's what they did. I see Governor's in the building, the indefatigable Tim Beck, Barkley jersey. Sorry, bad attempt. Okay. Well, you should have spelled it terrible. Tim Beck, you're not a role model. Remember Charles Barkley saying that in the 90s? I'm not a role model. Kurt Kramer, how's Northwestern's defense? Haven't seen them play. Not very good, Kurt. I mean, do you want some big time stat crunching analysis, or do you just want me to tell you that gave up 27 points in a 31-27 win at Purdue? It was a good win to open the season, not taking anything away from them in that capacity. Gave up 21-7 loss to Duke at home, 39-34 loss to Akron. So, I mean, they gave up 39 points to Akron. So, I mean, if we're just doing, you know, the law of, I guess, not a great team versus a pretty good offense, and Michigan's averaging, like 45 points per game, and all of those touchdowns with the exception of Ambry Thomas's 99-yard kick return versus Notre Dame, Josh Metellus 73-yard pick 6 against that was SMU, and then the Donovan Peoples-Jones 60-yard punt return touchdown this past weekend against Nebraska. With the exception of 3 touchdowns, all of them have been offensive. So I would say we're looking at a Michigan offense that's finding a pretty good groove right now, and we're looking at a Northwestern team that has questionable defense and missing Jeremy Larkin, its biggest piece of offense and best hope at really doing anything against Michigan. So this might be a romp. I mean, I'm convincing. I'm trying to convince myself it's still a road game, and Michigan, nothing's a given. But at the same time, I mean, if this Michigan team's going in the direction that I see it, they're just getting warmed up, and Northwestern's going to be, not saying it's going to be an easy game, but it'll be a good game to get some confidence, and then return home the following week against Maryland for homecoming, and then you really start getting into the meat, right? Wisconsin, Michigan State, Penn State, you really start getting into truly what's going to decide your season. So every game counts. Each week builds up, for the next. But I do Northwestern, not a gimme, but it's not going to be 28-17 like I thought. So let's see your guys' score predictions. I'll get back in this live chat. Ben Peterson, Adam, do you have a status on Evans? Will he make the trip? Ben, I do not have anything on Chris Evans. The latest that we heard was he wasn't practicing. I don't know if he's going to make the trip, what his status is, nothing like that. And real quick, while we're on injuries, guys, if you're not up to date, most of you guys are up to date because you watch and you follow and you guys are, read everybody's stuff. Tariq Black, I do see a possibility for a late season return. We talked about that at length the other day. Ben St. Juste is out for the year due to injury. Jamon and Jermaine Green, the Green twins, they're out. MIC Book says Ben Mason is opening the hole for Karan, so give him some love once in a while. Ben Mason deserves all the credit that he's getting. Ben Mason deserves those touches. Ben Mason deserves, like I've been saying, I feel like those 3 rushing touchdowns, that was the stamp. That's what personified Michigan's attitude against Nebraska. Here's Ben Mason, short yardage. We're going to do it, and you're not going to stop us. And, good luck trying. So I like everything about Ben Mason. Ben Mason is a football player's football player, put it that way. And ever since last year when I asked him if he's ever been afraid of anything, he said never. And I told him that I believed him. When you stare into those eyes and you hear him say that, you see the haircut, and you know the reputation. The dude's nickname is Bench. He likes being called a meathead or a blockhead. I'm sorry. He embraces all those terms. This dude will literally run through a wall for a coach, and that's the type of football player I think that's the type of fullback you want, most definitely. So everything about Ben Mason says big-time fullback to me. If you guys remember last year, Jim Harbaugh said that Ben Mason was born to be a fullback. Walter Mitchell says, Wes Weber, you're right. Michigan needs to clean up the penalties this week. Shouldn't be a problem. Here's some predictions. Alan Pinkney is going 48-6. Joe Provo is going 38-13. The Gov, Indefatigable, is going 38-10. Greg Ryan, what's up, Greg? 42-13, Michigan. Gov, 38-10, Michigan. Leo Dice A says 31-14 team, referring to Michigan. Drew Fortier said, anything on Uche? What in the world happened? I haven't heard any news on Josh Uche. Nothing new that's confirmable. It is. He kind of just fell off a little bit, right? Oh, and in terms of Jalen Kelly Powell, Jalen had an injury. The first 3 games are going through something, and that's why we saw him for the first time against Nebraska. I tweeted earlier this week, we talked earlier this week about player participation and how many guys from the 18 class have played and how many total have played. 88 total players have seen the field for Michigan this year. And we're looking at, 78 this past game against Nebraska. A lot of guys getting in there. 8 reserve offensive linemen. That really stuck out to me a lot. Wes Weber Jr. says, but Wes Weber says, Ben Mason warms the cockles of my heart. And LOL blockhead. I mean, he likes that. Ben Mason likes that term. He's a different type of dude. He really is. Watch the interviews with the players, and when people ask about Ben Mason, first they smile, and then they just say, like, what you see is what you get. Ben Mason does not. His post game interview was pretty. He's just like. I'm not saying he doesn't show emotion, but it's almost like he's. I don't know the right word for it. It's like he's just so focused on answering the question, I don't think he even really sees everybody. You know what I mean? There's other guys who will look around the crowd and, maybe kind of gesture and that sort of thing and acknowledge it. Ben Mason will just kind of like looks at you and it's like he doesn't see anything else, and he just answers the question, and that's it. I mean, and that's fine. Ben Mason's not a guy I don't think who's going to sit up there and joke around. Ben Mason's going to give you the answer to the question. Here comes Trouble, says 31-7 Michigan. Yeah, guys, I'm adjusting my 28-17. I'm gonna go 45 to 10. I'm going 45-10 Michigan. I see offense. I know it's a road game, and I kind of caution myself on road games a little bit, but I think 45-10 is actually is reasonable given what we've seen from this Michigan offense, the Michigan defense, Northwestern not having Larkin. It would take an inspired game, Northwestern's best game of the season, I think, to even really hang with Michigan. And that's not disrespecting Northwestern. Great, Pat Fitzgerald, one of my favorite coaches in the Big Ten, classy guy. But I mean, I think this is a case where we're going to see a team that's down, whether they say it or not. I don't care what they say publicly. You lost Jeremy Larkin. You're upset about it. So we're going to see a team that's 1-2, hasn't won since against Purdue, coming off a 39-34 loss to Akron in a bye week. I mean, this is going to have to be an inspired game from Northwestern, I think, to even keep this close, honestly. And when I made the prediction earlier, I was thinking Northwestern was going to be better. People were kind of chatting about Northwestern, out there in the West Division a little bit. Jeremy Larkin, obviously a big-time player. Quarterback Clayton Thorson. Clayton's only had 3 passing touchdowns this year, 3 interceptions. I mean, it's not the look Northwestern had hoped for this season. So, again, I think unless the Wildcats play like their best game to date of the season, just absolutely inspired football, I don't see this one being close. Jay Van Syke says, I'm with you, Drew. Kind of odd that he has not seen more tick on third down, given how damn fast he is off the edge. Who are we talking about here? Gabe. Oh, and I'm really going to Militello. Did I do that right, Gabe? How can we make it to the playoffs? Win out, Gabe. Pretty soon. I mean, I'm not trying to skirt a good answer. They got to win out. And maybe if, Penn State beats Ohio State this weekend, I don't see that happening. And then somehow Ohio State stumbles. I mean, I don't see anything, 10, it's got to be 10-2, and there's got to probably be some help. Or 11-1 does it, I think. And, of course, Big Ten championship game. Even 11-1 regular season, a loss in the Big Ten championship game, but what team from the West is going to do anything to the East? So, I mean, it's going to be an East team winning. I don't think there's any doubt there. But what does Michigan have to do to make the playoff? Keep doing what it's doing, win out, and, hope for a little bit of help along the way. Like I said, Penn State this weekend, maybe Ohio State, stumbles again. But it's got to win out. And, I mean, these are big games against Wisconsin, Michigan State, Penn State, Ohio State. That's why I went in the beginning of the year. I said, even if the Wolverines are good, adequate, Shea Patterson's good, the O-line's good, 9-3 is reasonable. If Shea's real good, the O-line really does show some improvement, which I check, then 10-2 is the ceiling. So I think Michigan right now, to me, is playing like a team with a 10-2 ceiling. I still think 9-3 would be respectable given the schedule. Trey Myers Waggy. How do I say that, Trey? Myers Waggy. Used to have the hammering panda. Now you just have a sledgehammer. That's Ben Mason. Hey Wes, can we get some Ben Mason memes and GIFs, photo edits, all that stuff? Do Ben Mason sledgehammer like the Peter Gabriel video. You remember that with the claymation with his hands, his arms and his hands were the sledgehammer and he's bonking himself in the head? Make that Ben Mason with 2 sledgehammers. Ben Peterson says 42-16 Michigan. Don Brown's front 7 will spend the entire day in Northwestern's backfield. MIC Book says 45-6 Michigan. Tyler Felichek. Let me see if I got that right. Tyler Felichek says Michigan minus 14.5. Easy money, and he put in the money bag emoji. Walter Mitchell says, I'm at the point where I just want to see a win, period. On a personal level, my battle with ALS is going well as can be. Hey, glad to hear it, Walter. Hopefully everything goes well for you. Leo Dice A says, any thoughts on these Hudson targeting ejections? Won't be every game, but that's a big issue. It's kind of becoming an issue. And I mean, it's like once you've been, that's like his third one, isn't it? Since last year, his third or fourth one now. Once you've had so many of those against you, I feel like you're not going to get the benefit of the doubt. I mean, we were talking about this a little bit with Josh Metellus. We were talking a little bit about this last year with Devin Bush Jr. in the year before. I don't want to say, I'm not saying that Khaleke Hudson is in any way, he's not a dirty player. But when you're associated with 3 or 4 targeting calls, I think then you're going to start getting a label. He's not Ndamukong Suh who was getting, penalized for legit stuff, stomping on people's heads and, but Khaleke's got to be careful. He's on, and again, you don't want to get that reputation because then you're not going to get the benefit of the doubt. So anything that's even close, they're going to, and Khaleke's involved, that's going to just be, it's not going to be a good thing. So those are my thoughts. Joe Provo, Wes Weber says 48-13 Michigan. Trey Myers, Waggy, sorry, Waeghe. I'm trying, Trey. 41-10 Michigan. Joe Provo says, hopefully no targeting penalties. I can't believe Michigan gets called for these ticky-tacky targeting. Meanwhile, the guy from USC committed the definition of targeting doesn't get one. It is. Hey, guys, Jim Harbaugh, he even made a comment. He's like, are we gonna review every play that's like in the box now? And I mean, he was talking. Our running backs, when they're in the battle to get low, are they not leading with the crown of their head? I mean, that's what I'm saying. Like, what the hell is targeting anyway? And is any type of helmet contact? And a friend of mine made a great point about this the other day. Matt Pargoff, it's MaizeandBlueNews.com. Follow him on Twitter. It's at MaizeBlueNews. Matt said, it's kind of funny, like when you see some of these calls, but then do these guys not, after a big play, defense, a big sack or something like that, or a pick six or everything, they're up and congratulating each other. Do they not grab each other by the face mask and probably bash into each other's heads way harder than what some of these guys are even getting called for targeting? I mean, it's ridiculous to me. And where does it end? I mean, it's not that there's a debate about a little gray area. It's like, okay, there's this much definitive, whatever we'd say, this much definite, this much, clearly not targeting, but then we have this much gray area in the middle. And that's where we're living, in this gray area. And it's ruining, I think, the way that defenses are having to play. It's ruining, I think, some of the intensity. Guys are like, they have to be conscious, and peel back. And I've asked Josh Metellus this question before. I mean, Josh isn't peeling back. He's a little more conscious of it now, but does it change the way the guys play a little bit? I think so. And yeah, I'm not a big fan of the way targeting, just like all of you. And I don't think anybody out there who follows college football or NFL for that matter, is happy with the way that targeting is being applied and called. And so, yeah, anyway, that was my rant for the day. Thank you. Joe Provost, if there were to be a definition of targeting, here comes the trouble, says the 2000 Michigan Northwestern game was one of the best games I remember as a kid, kept Michigan out of the Rose Bowl. Damian Anderson ran all over Michigan. I remember a good Northwestern team, like Rose Bowl, like it was like the 95 team, wasn't it? Darnell Autry, Pat Fitzgerald was on that team. Darnell Autry was a really good running back. There's a kid from Grand Blanc a few years back, Tony Jones. Tony Jones actually was a decent receiver for Northwestern. Back, I want to say in like 2010, 11, 12. 09 to 12, something like that. Greg Ryan says, whoa, 45-10. Hose Adam down. He's actually high on Michigan for what? Greg, I haven't been low on Michigan. I don't know what you mean. I'm not low on Michigan at all. I've been telling you guys what I thought. And I think if you read what I write, I think Michigan is a good team, and I have. I feel like some people kind of pick on the thing. Well, you said 9-3. 10-2, absolute best. Yeah, what's wrong with 9-3 or 10-2? I mean, you have Ohio State and Penn State in the same division. Next year, beat Michigan State this year, beat Ohio State this year, beat Penn State this year, and then next year just increases the confidence when you're looking at the schedule. Because look at what the returning core of this team has done against these really good teams. So I've never been low on Michigan. I'm just not ready to go all in. But yeah, Greg, I'll say that hose me down on this one, because this is the furthest I think of going out on the limb. Although I don't think it was really going out on a limb with SMU. I said it was going to be like 48-7. It was actually 45-20. So, but yeah, I like Michigan in this one. I think if the Michigan team that I'm seeing, it's kind of peeled back some of the layers of it. If it's the Michigan team that I'm seeing and think it can be, then they should go to Northwestern and take care of business. Greg Ryan also adds, I'm hoping it won't be like the game we played against Minnesota. They played inspired ball. They gave us all we could handle when their coach was in the... Yeah, when Tracy Claeys. Yeah. And that was the game, Wilton Spate, right? To J.U. Chesson, that big touchdown. Gabe Militello wants to know what is Tariq Black's status. Gabe, he's treadmill. He's jogging. He's got a doctor's appointment coming up in a couple weeks. It's the week that the Lions play the Packers. So he's going to see his doctor during that. I'm assuming his doctor is one of those team doctors. Jim Harbaugh mentioned that specifically, that week he'd see a doctor. And I think that's going to determine whether is the recovery kind of slow and, later for the year, or is it recovery like, hey, you're ready to go. Let's get, so that's kind of undecided, but don't rule out a late season return. I remember when it happened and, the hot take artists or the insiders said Tariq Black's out for the year. He's done, That's not. I don't think that's going to be the case. I think that there is a legitimate shot that we do see a late season return. I'd be surprised if it's before November, but again, I'm not a doctor, and it depends on the progress of Tariq Black. I mean, he had surgery on both of his feet, so. Wes Weber says Ben Mason or Chuck. That we got to see that. There's got to be some Ben Mason, Chuck Norris jokes there, except for Chuck Norris is the one. What does Chuck Norris do before he goes to bed at night? Checks under his bed for Ben Mason. Like something like that. Chuck Norris, even Ben Mason scares Chuck Norris, and Chuck Norris doesn't do push-ups, he does earth downs. It's funny, this girl I used to date a long time ago, she actually got me this Chuck Norris book of jokes. I wish I still had it, but that thing was hilarious, and it was actually like before that stuff got popular on the internet. So I mean, all the I'm trying to remember. Some of them aren't appropriate probably to say on here. So, but if you guys get a chance, check out some Chuck Norris jokes and just replace Chuck Norris with Ben Mason, and there we go. Sure Woody 14 says Michigan 33, Northwestern 10. Nothing matters at this point but winning at least 3 games in the Big Four. Michigan State, Penn State, Wisconsin, Ohio State. I think we can do it. That's the road to the playoffs, sure, Woody. Right there. Walter Mitchell says 1,000% about Hudson. He has a mark. You got to believe that, right, Walter? And good or bad. I mean, MC Penn State or Ohio State again. Ohio State. Joe Provo says Northwestern seems to play their best football when when there aren't any expectations. Whenever people are remotely high on them, they disappoint, right? And I think people were kind of high on them coming into this year. But now they're, like you said, now what are the expectations without Larkin? If they come out and play this inspired game and it's a 38-35 Michigan win, barn burner. I mean, we've seen Northwestern do this to just about every team in the Big Ten. So the Gov says he loves McCaffrey. Yeah, Dylan McCaffrey, he's going to be a good one in Michigan. Greg Ryan says, funny how they can find targeting penalties but never see holding penalties committed against the best defensive line in the country. Walter Mitchell says, question, why doesn't an offensive player get a face mask penalty when they grab a defensive player's helmet? Well, guys, we know in football, especially in the trenches, there's a penalty on every play. So it's like, what are they going to choose? And, I mean, are they over? I mean, targeting is important. You can't just have guys going out there and launching and putting guys in danger with these hits that aren't designed to just be a hard hit in gameplay. Because, look, I never played football. So I'm not an expert on it. I've watched football. I know a lot of guys who have played football. I've talked to a lot of coaches. You go out there with intent to make them feel you, but you're not going out there trying to hurt them. And I think that's the difference with targeting. That's an obvious attempt. Launching yourself, you're not. There's a difference. And I mean, they can't measure intent, right? I mean, if we could read their mind and say, okay, well, this guy was going in there with intent. I think a lot of these targeting calls, at least the ones that I've seen, especially Michigan, I mean, when Joe Bolin got thrown into a player, I mean, he didn't even do it. He got thrown into a player by the opposing team. They threw him into their own quarterback, and he still got a targeting penalty and ejected. So I feel like a lot of these targeting penalties aren't really targeting. And it's again, and it's making the gray area grayer and grayer and bigger. What is, what isn't? And that one against USC, but that looked like a textbook targeting, not call targeting. Kurt Kramer says they're looking at big hits and going way too far at calling targeting. I agree. Joe Provo says Tony Jones is on the Michigan staff now as a grad assistant. Is he really? Joe, I should know that because he's from Grand Blanc. I didn't. Are you sure? Greg Rice says, I'm joking at him, saying I don't think you ever predicted a score that high. Well, that's a SMU game I did, I think. But yeah, I know what you're saying. Joe Provost says, I haven't felt as good about Michigan's quarterback situation since the Henny days. And even then, there was much depth, not counting Mallett as a freshman. Crazy what a difference a year can make. Yeah, because, I mean, there was Ryan Mallett, Stephen Threet. And there were some good quarterbacks, those last of the Carr era. The Gov says quarterback situation's awesome. He loves McCaffrey. Sir Galahad 333 or Revan. I don't know. You got to help me on this one, man. Will Donovan Peoples-Jones become a Heisman candidate by the end of the year as well? When do you think Aubrey Solomon will come back? I don't know anything, the latest on Aubrey, and the less and less we hear, nobody's really bringing him up. Leads me to believe maybe it's getting close. Close to a decision like he's not going to come back. I'm not sure. I can't give you a definitive answer on that. But as far as DPJ, do I think he becomes a Heisman candidate by the end of the year? No. I don't think it'd be unless he just lights it up, right? A couple more punt return touchdowns and just continues to have these big games. But I mean, on the receiving end, I would think that with Shea Patterson would probably get the look if DPJ has that huge year receiving, because I think that's will probably count the most. They'll look at his body of work. But if I ask me to do right now, no, I wouldn't say right now. Public Pursuit, what do you think of? I heard he threw some shots at Isaiah Holt too. I like Isaiah. Isaiah's a good dude. Works real hard. As for the person you're speaking about, asking me about what do I think of him, not very highly. Walter Mitchell says the best arm of the bunch is Milton, and he's not sniffing the field. Joe Provo said he is Adam. I think he started the last year. Go check his Twitter. TJ Too Fast Out. I definitely will check that out. Thank you for letting me know. Yeah, Tony Jones, one of the best high school wide receivers come out of the Flint area. Played at Northwestern. Had a pretty decent career there. So evidently he's a grad assistant at Michigan. I did not know that. Galahad or Revan is fine. Is it Revan or Revan? I need some help on that one. Jay Van Sykes says, how many home night games this year you think? Probably one, I think. Public Pursuit says, okay, I'll stop by. Yeah, ask our guys in the chat. If you guys see this comment, they'll let you know. They'll let you know. You've been if you've been hanging on to every word from those, you're being misled and you're being fed information that's stolen from people who actually go down there and talk to these guys and things like that. So yeah, do yourself a favor and stop wasting your time watching those videos. Robert Prossman said, could Michigan lose to Wisconsin, beat everyone else, then beat Wisconsin in the Big Ten championship game when they get in? Ooh, that. I think Ohio State would need a loss in there. So with your scenario, Robert, I would say if Penn State beats Ohio State this weekend, and then let's say Michigan slips against Wisconsin in the regular season, runs the table, and then beats Wisconsin in the Big Ten championship game, I would say Michigan was in under that scenario. Yeah. King J, what do you think of Ronnie Bell? Ronnie Bell is a big deal. I really like Ronnie Bell. I think he and Dylan McCaffrey, if you think Shea and DPJ have some chemistry, which they do, Dylan and Ronnie Bell. And these guys, I talked to Dylan about it, Ronnie Bell a little bit. The video's on my YouTube channel. Dylan says that he and Ronnie have spent a lot of extra time together. They just have a good rhythm. And, everybody that's been asked about Ronnie Bell, nobody's surprised. He's another one of these guys. It's like he does this in practice. He can just bet the basketball athleticism certainly helps him. I mean, he's fast. He's got great hands. If you watch that, what was it, like a 54-yard touchdown, Dylan to Ronnie, just on the money, natural, like they've been doing it for a long time. And to see that was their first time, their first connection, I think that's gotta open your eyes and you go like, wow, these guys. I mean, that's one play, one touchdown doesn't. But I mean, look at that play. Look at the delivery, the release, Dylan's mechanics, and look at the way that Ronnie just caught the ball in stride. I mean, that's what you like to see. The smoothness. Those guys are going to be good. Ronnie Bell is going to be real good. But Wes Weber says Ben Mason does not get frostbite. He bites frost. I agree. Ben Peterson says good call. David Clark, I brought it up earlier in the week. It is night and day, and a lot have to do with QB play, in my opinion. Hey guys, while I'm thinking about it real quick, someone tried. I mentioned in the beginning of the show, there's like this new monetized chat thing that I got approved for, and if you don't want to, don't pay for it right now, but just try to see if it works. It'll like highlight your comment. Try to see what it does and like how much it costs, so that way we have a ballpark figure. Public Pursuit says, do you think Patterson regrets transferring to Michigan because the stats are so low because of Michigan's offense? No, I don't think so. And I mean, his stats aren't low. I mean, they're efficient. Like I said, I mean, he's completing passes at the same number of passes, I think, that he was. He's just not having to throw as many passes. I'll look back at his stats, but I mean, what was his completion percentage at Ole Miss last year before the injury? Was it like 60? It's like 63 or 64 or something like that. I mean, no, I don't think Shea regrets anything. I mean, he's having that. And I think when it comes down to, because I think what you're doing is maybe, asking when it comes to like draft time and everything. I mean, what Shea's been given the opportunity to show off his arm, show off his athleticism. I mean, they'll have plenty of tape. I mean, Shea's in an offense that's going to allow him. Wes Weber says it costs $1.99. All right, guys, if you think $1.99 is worth highlighting your comment, and then maybe what I can do is we could do like highlight the comments and then I'll give away a prize, or I don't know if we'll gotta figure out. So it's weird, like how's the stuff on YouTube? Like I understand like to monetize it and everything, but it's like, what do you monetize and exactly what is the value of it? I mean, do you just want to, if it's worth $2 to see your comment in blue like Wes Weber just did, go for it and I'll talk about it. $1.99, Wes Weber. What else can you, this will be the new comment. What else can you buy for $1.99 that's better than having me spend some time focusing on your comment? Well, there's probably a lot. Like you can get 2 cheeseburgers at McDonald's for $1.99, I think. 2 McDoubles, right, for $2 plus tax. So check on your floorboard. $1.99 plus whatever you have on your floorboard will cover that. Sure, Woody14 says it's called Super Chat, and I think a person could pick their price from $1 to $100. All right, well, let's see some $100 what are the $100 comments? Walter Mitchell says, Wes Weber, shoot me the reminder. I hate to say this, but on the 3rd, due to my health, I'm on disability. The $2 to help you out is worth it. Oh, Walter, hey, Walter, you don't worry about it, man. You don't got to. I'm pandering for money here. But no, Walter, no money from you, sir. Greg Ryan says, Patterson seems to be truly happy at Michigan. It seems as though he's the unquestioned leader of the team, even more with the captain. I mean, I think Shea's happy. I don't understand where anybody would get the impression that he's not happy. I mean, they're winning games. He's putting up numbers. I mean, yeah, he's not having 300-yard passing. I thought that he could reach 3,000 yards this year and like 24 touchdowns. And I put 8 interceptions in my season prediction. And guys, here's that season prediction article again, where I explicitly reserve the right to change my prediction due to an injury. And here's that Aiden Hutchinson, the latest on Aiden as well. You guys go ahead and read that. So we found out the super chat feature does work. Shea is here to win, and that's what they're doing. Exactly, Ben. I agree. Yeah, and Walter, I'll just highlight your comments for free. Don't worry about it. But everybody else, if you guys want to do the super chat thing, go for it. King J says, do you think Christian Turner could be the next good running back for Michigan? He was running hard last game, breaking a lot of arm tech. Yeah, and King J, Jim Harbaugh mentioned this when I asked him about the 16 and 18 class. He mentioned Aiden, Christian, and Jalen Mayfield specifically. But he said, we got to first look at Christian Turner against Nebraska. He said he's going to be doing well. So, yeah, I think Christian Turner is the real deal. He slowed down in camp during injury. He was right there, at that 3 spot, I think, before the injury happened. And then True Wilson moved in there, but he and True right there battling for that 3rd position. And I think when it's all said and done, I mean, we're Christian Turner is going to be a really good runner, but don't discount True Wilson either. True Wilson didn't get there by accident. I mean, he's still beating out Omari Samuels, who was came in as a highly recruited running back. True was a walk-on. He's a scholarship now, but I like Michigan's depth at running back. And again, yeah, Karan Higdon. Even let's take Chris Evans out of the situation. Let's just assume Chris Evans is injured. Even with Karan Higdon leading the way, and with True, Christian Turner, and Omari Samuels, and then Ben Mason back there as that big full tailback, whatever you want to call him now. He's fullback, but he'll line up deep like a tailback and just get some momentum. I like Michigan's backfield. We haven't seen Kurt Taylor yet. I don't know what the deal on Kurt Taylor. Ravan. All right, there we go. Sir Gallas says, why is Ohio State able to reload at the quarterback position every year with almost no issue? I mean, they recruit well. I saw a joke though. Ohio State quarterbacks end up being wide receivers, so you take that for what you will. But yeah, they do recruit well. Dwayne Haskins is if he's not on your short list of Heisman guys right now, he probably should be. I think Dwayne Haskins is pretty nice. Robert Protzman says, am I wrong about this? But doesn't the Big Ten championship game go between the 2 best Big Ten records from the East and the West? So Notre Dame loss doesn't affect Michigan's getting in the game. Yeah, it goes by 2 best conference records. Best overall record, best conference record. Greg Ryan says, Shea is happy, fans aren't. Folks want to see basketball on grass that doesn't win championships, teams with a great rushing attack. Why are fans are really, you guys aren't happy with Shea? Seriously? Sure, what he says, Ben Mason 6'3", 255, and runs at least a 4.88 40-yard dash, so quite the beast. Yeah, Ben Mason can truck you with no problem. Scott Lau says, Omari Samuels looked excellent on his few runs. Yeah, footwork. That's what everybody's bringing up with Omari, and I agree. Cuts well. He's got that side to side. Zig says, decaf for Joe Milton next year if Shea decides to leave. I don't think Shea's leaving unless he gets drafted. He's not going after baseball. We talked about this. I asked him about that in the beginning of camp. The video's on my YouTube. Just Google it. I wrote about it. He's not at Michigan to be a one and done. If he's one done, if not for baseball, if he's gone, it's because he got drafted. But I think there's probably a 2-year plan with Shea, at least, and then see what Dylan can do. But I mean, maybe they brought Shea in thinking, okay, Shea might get drafted in the NFL draft at the end of the season, and you have Dylan McCaffrey. I don't think they can go wrong. I mean, it'd be a bad decision to move Shea unless it's performance based. The Shea Patterson has done nothing but help Michigan win, and the offense is scoring a ton of points. It's completing a ton of passes. It looks good so far. I think it would be a huge mistake to remove Shea, but if he gets injured and then Dylan McCaffrey, takes over, and then Dylan just solidifies that to the point where it's like, hey, it doesn't make sense for us to put you back in there, Shea. Let's say going into next year, I mean, Dylan just completely outdoes himself, then we're talking a different kind. But that's not a bad problem to have, right? But I like Dylan. I always have. I've always thought Dylan was going to be the next star quarterback at Michigan, following Wilton Spate. And I was talking about this, even over Brandon Peters. In the long run, I thought it was going to be Dylan was going to be the guy. So PJ Brooks says our defense is awesome, but we got to beat a real team. Penn State, Ohio State, Wisconsin, I believe we can go 3-0 versus them. Scott Louse says Dwayne Haskins is phenomenal. I think Ohio State wins it all in Urban's last year. Sir Galahad, Ben Mason versus Baron Browning. King J says, do you think Brandon Peters will transfer? King J, I get this question all the time. If it's not, I think someone's going to leave, right? Because they have Cade McNamara coming in next year. You're still going to have Shea. You're going to have Joe Milton. You're going to have Dylan McCaffrey. I mean, it's a crowded house. So, I mean, I can't see, beyond 5 guys sticking around. And all these guys could start somewhere else. So, I'm not saying that it's going to be Brandon Peters who transfers, but I think that to assume that a guy leaves, that's not too far of a reach. I mean, just by sheer numbers and who's coming in and who looks like, who looks like they're next. We're going on 51 minutes, guys. If you guys have any final questions, I'm doing a podcast this afternoon with Ryan Schuling, so check that out on greatlakesdivide.squarespace.com in the podcast tab. I'll actually drop that link in here. And you guys can hear that circular saw next door going to town. My neighbor's getting some stuff done to her garage. My neighbor, who's fantastic, by the way, Lorelei, she takes it's like my dogs have a nanny, actually. Lorelei's awesome. Best neighbor ever. Here's a podcast tab. Oh, Wes Weber, hold on, came with. He's got one. He's got the. Yes, Wes Weber's got the. I'm not. You guys got to check. Follow me on Twitter at AdamBiggers81. And you have to check this out. Does Chuck Norris have Twitter? I don't know. Whoever at Chuck Norris is going to see this, because I don't think the real Chuck Norris has. I'm tweeting that at Bench Mason. There we go. That is gold. Thank you, Wes. Oh, and I didn't even have time, guys. Let's close. I didn't even have time. Wes worked real hard on these stats. I want to go over these and follow him at Wesley Weber Jr. on Twitter. And I've been retweeting the stuff. Let's real quick. Points per game scored, allowed, and difference. Ohio State number 1, 54.5, allowed 17.0, difference 37.5. Penn State's difference 36. Michigan's difference is plus 27.6. So Michigan averaging 41.8 points per game, allowing 14.2. And there's all sorts of metrics. I mean, Michigan's rush defense. He's brought up some stats about Michigan State. There's all kinds of stuff that Wes has been tweeting in these stat graphics, and it's a great job looking at yards per play as well. Michigan ranks number 3, or points per play. Michigan ranks number 3 in points per play differential. So 0.633 points per play, giving up 0.210 points per play, and that's a difference of 0.23. And again, yeah, it's decimals, it's small, but these are like the type of stats that really kind of give you a clearer view on usage and tendencies and everything. So again, great job by Wes Weber for that, providing the entertainment. Not only does he provide the entertainment, but he also is providing the analytics for the Great Lakes Divide podcast. And you can follow it, guys. I'm going to cut this. We're going to get going here. You can follow Great Lakes Divide on Twitter at GL Divide, on Facebook at Great Lakes Divide. You can follow me on Twitter at AdamBiggers81. Please like and subscribe, share, all that stuff, the YouTube channel. Check out the latest stuff that I've written on greatlakesdivide.squarespace.com. The Aiden Hutchinson, I'll drop the Dylan McCaffrey piece in there as well. And for your Michigan State coverage, if you're interested in the Spartans, we'll be talking a lot more about the Spartans in a few weeks here on the show during Michigan State week. But if you're interested in seeing what Michigan State's up to, you can check out everything by Ryan Schuling. He does a great job. We'll have podcasts up this afternoon. So Ben Peterson asks, Greg Ryan says, totally worth it. There we go. Thanks, Greg. I appreciate it, man. Robert Possum says, do you think OSU having Haskins is better for Michigan because he isn't a run-first quarterback? He can run, but isn't the threat like Barrett and McSorley. May not be able to escape pressure like them. That's a lot to that question. Does it play into Michigan's favor that he's not as mobile as like JT? I mean, I would say yes. Yeah, yeah, I would say yes, that it does play in their favor. But I mean, at the same time, Adrian Martinez was kind of known as a mobile guy too, right? I mean, at least a little, not a run first guy, but they did a good job with him. I mean, a lot of that was Nebraska's offensive line, but do I think that it plays into Michigan's advantage that he's not as mobile? Yeah, absolutely. Kurt Kramer says, thanks, Adam. Hey, Kurt, thanks for watching. Greg Ryan, thanks again. Appreciate it. Scott Lau says, Peters is gone. Nice Harbaugh is giving him snaps, though. He threw a pick, which is why McCaffrey passed him. Well, the explanation from what was why McCaffrey passed him was because Brandon's injured. Right knee, right leg. And they don't always get specific on an injury, which was I thought was kind of weird with that. Sometimes we got to pull teeth. I asked about Ben St. Juste. I've been wondering on the conference call, and and Harbaugh confirmed that to me. Yes, Ben St. Juste is out for the year. But I asked Michigan what's the injury. They won't tell me. But I do find it weird that with Peters, Harbaugh was very, very forthright when he came out and said, boom, off the bat, he tweaked his right knee. So, and then he later added that it was a lower right leg issue. PJ Brooks wants to know, do you think Michigan will run the table to the Big Ten championship? I do not. I'm not saying it's impossible, but looking at the schedule, again, I thought 9-3 was reasonable. I thought 10-2 was a ceiling, so I don't think Michigan runs the table. Do I think Michigan could be a 10-2 team and, some things happen and maybe help it, get in the Big Ten title game, and then ultimately the college football playoff picture? I don't think that's out of bounds. But again, that's going to take some help. So no, I do not see Michigan running the table. Greg Ryan says it'll be nice to see Shea, Dylan, and Joe get 2 years each to start. And Greg, and what if that is a plan? If that is a 2-year plan with Shea, I don't think there's anything wrong with that. But really, I mean, you look at a kid like Dylan McCaffrey. I mean, Dylan is next year will be Dylan's 3rd year in the system. I think Dylan is one of those guys. I mean, if Dylan was somewhere else, he would be starting. I think that'd be fair to say. Dylan would be starting at a lot of schools. I mean, I think of Brandon, healthy. These guys weren't bad quarterbacks. Dylan and Brandon were both, 2 of the best quarterbacks in their class. I mean, Joe Milton is a really good quarterback. Joe Milton, though, I look at as a more raw quarterback than Brandon and Dylan. Joe has more athleticism. He's got more arm strength. The accuracy was an issue. And he's got to mature a bit too. I don't think Joe's ready yet. We talked to a lot of these players, and a lot of the guys, they compliment Joe on what he's able to do and his ability and everything, but it's a maturity level. And that I don't think just pure talent gets you the job. Even if you're the most talented athletically, I don't think that gets you the job as Michigan quarterback. I think you got to have a lot upstairs. I mean, let's look, and I'm not knocking Jake Rudock. Jake Rudock was not razzle-dazzle, superstar playmaker. Jake Rudock, I think it was discounting him, calling him a game manager, because he was a star when he was at Michigan. He had second highest, or it was the highest single season yard total ever, or it was either the highest or second highest. And then he had the highest completion percentage in a single season. It was like 64.1%. So Jake Rudock wasn't razzle-dazzle, but he got the job done. The reason why Jake Rudock was so good is because he understood and he had that sense of maturity. And I think I'm not saying that doesn't come into play at other schools, which I think it does. But I mean, the pressure of being Michigan quarterback, that's probably one of the hardest gigs in college football. You have Jim Harbaugh as a quarterback, or as a former quarterback and a head coach. So I do think that there are certain pressures that go with that. So talent alone doesn't get you the job. You got to be able to handle all that mentally. So maybe Shea's the guy that they think, okay, for 2 years we'll do that, and then it'll be Dylan's turn, and then it'll be Joe's turn. Ben Peterson says, Adam, excellent work as always. When are you thinking you'll do post-game live chat? It'll be sometime after the game, and I'm not going to Northwestern, so I'll watch the game. I'll be somewhere watching the game like you guys, and then I'll do kind of like a video and review. And on my computer, it looks like it's freezing. And I have my eyes closed, my mouth open, looking. It's not a flattering look right now. So, On that note, we're going to end it. So hopefully it's not bad. Hopefully you guys can see me and it's okay. Anyway, again, follow me on Twitter at AdamBiggers81. You can follow Great Lakes Divide on Twitter at GL Divide and at Great Lakes Divide on Facebook. I want to thank our title sponsor, Federal Williams, for the support, and that's federalwilliams.com, FEDERAU Williams.com. Contact Mike Williams for all of your real estate needs, whether you're buying or selling. Mike Williams can help you out. So, again, I'm Adam Biggers. Thanks for watching, guys. Enjoy the rest of your Friday. I'll get back with you after Michigan Northwestern tomorrow. That's a 4:30 kickoff local time, or 4:30 Eastern, 3:30 local time there in the Chicagoland area on FS1. So thanks again for watching. I want to thank Greg, Wes, everybody with the super chat, and again, Wes for the logos, the Ben Mason memes and everything. It's been a great Friday. Have a good one, guys. I'll talk to you next time.